How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, or welcome back to chaoschild. I'm going to apologize. This might be a shorter episode than normal. I feel like I've having to be saying that a lot, but lately it's just been, there's been a lot going on. And squeezing these recordings in can be tricky. And unfortunately, when I should have been recording these last 2 days, I had one day that just went way late. Like, we just had activities that went way, basically to 11 near midnight, and I was just I had work the next day, so I was like, I gotta go to bed. And then yesterday, I should have been recording, was going to, but then I just passed out. Ever just fallen asleep randomly? Yeah, that just happened to me, and so I was like, okay, well, screw it. So, I'm recording this. If you're watching this, I probably was editing it about 7 hours before, and the reason why I say 7 hours before is because it takes forever for it to upload, so there's a good chance this came out late. I'll do the best I can, but regardless, I don't know. So much of my life has become this kind of chaotic mess. I feel like I have the time. It's just I get off work and I immediately just want to and just take it. I was like, I'll just catch my breath. Let's take a quick breather. And then next thing you know, it's 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, great. I have no time. I didn't get anything done, let alone fun things. So yeah, whatever. Complain. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm annoyed, and I need to figure this out because I didn't have this problem 2 weeks ago. I don't know what's changed, but yeah, whatever. Okay, we're going in. Speaking of change, we had the next victim. We were witness to it, man, and everything's just falling apart. But we're still here on our post-festival chaos, and now we're going to pick up the pieces and see where we go. I mean, we knew something bad was going to happen. And it honestly wasn't as twisted as I thought it could be. It was still pretty bad. But now, it's kind of that whole problem again where he was teetering on the edge of just leaving it all behind. But I feel like we're too involved. It's too personal now. I think we're going to have to keep going. And I feel like we're not going to be left alone, regardless of whether we want to be. So, now the heroes have been chosen and, our life's path is basically set. Let's see how Taku deals with it now. So, let's get started. October 10th, 2015, Saturday. Oh, autopsy. I was like, well, we're starting off great. Shinjo grimaced at the smell of death that was enough to make him nauseous. Which, by the way, yeah, that's lovely. Watabe Tomaoki's body had been taken to the university hospital and put into an autopsy table less than 2 hours after his death. If you're feeling sick, I understand, it's not fun working on the dead, but, you're in the wrong field, apparently. Normally, an autopsy would never be held this quickly. There was paperwork that needed to be filled out, and the family needed to agree. But Watabe's death was so bizarre, the cause of death needed to be found out as soon as possible. Shinjo had taken a hard line with his superiors and used rather forceful methods to get the family's permission to perform a lightning-fast autopsy. Oh, great, that's right. So that's he's not in the field of autopsies. He's the investigator. I just didn't remember his name. Oh my gosh. The police force as a whole seemed determined to avoid a repeat of the failures 6 years ago. Well, that was because he had an inside man. I don't know if they ever figured that out. But what was truly unexpected was Kunosato's statement that she would attend the autopsy as well. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, though. Since he couldn't let a civilian, especially a high school girl, attend an autopsy unsupervised, he'd been forced to go with her. The hospital autopsy room was kept clean and very different from the musty atmosphere you often saw in foreign movies. But to Shinjo, the invisible smell of death was still thick in the air. It was nothing like seeing a body at a crime scene. It was almost physically uncomfortable. I wonder why it's so different for him. You feel like the crime scene would be worse because you're seeing the whole of it, the final moments and all the signs and events that took place around it. This feels sterile almost. I wonder why that is a more disturbing factor for him. But Kunosato Mio, as far as he could tell, didn't seem bothered at all. Shinjo and Kunosato were watching the autopsy from the waiting room next door. The wall had glass to allow them to see into the room. The external and internal examinations had been completed. Now they were opening up the stomach and examining it.
君はこうなることを予見していたのか?
予見?
今日わざわざ渡部の対談を見に行くと言い出したのはなぜだ? それどころか有村ひなえにも渡部と接触するよう昨日から指示していたんだろまさか実は君が黒幕だとかいうオチはやめてくれよ。
Oh, that'd be a twist.
そうできるならそうしてもいいかもな。
Really? That's weird. Shinjo couldn't tell if she was serious or not. He'd spent the last several days with her, but he still had no idea what she was thinking.
渡部が殺されるかもしれないという予感はあった。予感を確信に変えるために有村に接触するように指示したんだ。だがまさか今日殺されるという予想はしていなかった。
Oh, so she didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. And it's interesting, like how she mentioned here how she said, "Oh, I thought he might be he might be killed." So I said, Wataba. I thought Wataba might be killed, so I told Arimura. And remember, she looked at Taku the first times we met her, and she said, "You're going to die." I wonder if she has an ability to like have a kind of a sixth sense that someone might pass, or at least like sometime soon. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but it's odd that she said, "Oh, I thought he might die, so I sent her." It's like, why would you send her? And the only other thing I could think of was the fact that she like saw Taku, stared him dead in the eyes, and said, "Hey, you're gonna die."
有村ひなえが渡部に接触すると何がわかるんだ？
She didn't answer him. Even though he was sharing police information with her, would it really kill her to be a little more cooperative?
渡部はあの若さでスクープを連発しすぎていたと思わないか？
Oh, okay. She's probably drawing a connection that he seemed to have been gifted, like the others. But I feel like that's something that's hard to track. So it's interesting that she would like make that connection. So like, how did she get that information before the previous victims? But yeah, I think the people who are being targeted are probably borderline or actual gigalomaniacs, and they're starting to like be able to like delusion the world into like their shapes. And part of those delusions, like for Watabe, was being able to get access to or like finding like where stories were going to happen.
それが何か？
Just as he spoke, he heard a muffled moan come from the corner.
これは
There was a microphones in the autopsy room that would let them hear anything said there.
どうしたんだろう？
Yeah.
どうしたんだ？
Shinjo pounded on the glass and motioned for the coroner to explain. The coroner nodded and moved the body so they could see it better, and then held up a pair of tweezers. He plunged the tweezers into Watabe's open abdomen. And from where Shinjo and Kunosato were standing, they couldn't see inside. The tweezers seemed to grab something. That was all he said as he lifted up the tweezers. Between them was a sumo sticker in excellent condition. Interesting though, let's look at this. Yeah, it feels like a little different. Because it's got like from the ones we saw before, I don't think they had these 3 droplets. And also, I don't remember them having a third eye on the sticker. We know the third eye opened up on the sticker before, but I don't think we've seen it drawn on it before. And then also this like line across the front that kind of divides between the first and second eyes. That also feels different. Like, why is the design changing? That's very odd. I thought the design changing was signals of copycats who were trying to mimic the Simo stickers because they were a fad or people were thinking they're funny or, you know, stupid stuff like that. But now it feels like I'm seeing different stickers that are clearly involved with whatever the creepy stuff that's happening. The stickers may be personalized to each stage or each kill. Like, as the kills happen, do the stickers like evolve? Because that's the other thing that's odd too, is we remember the sticker that was taken outside of the room with the death was different between when we took a picture of it and when Wataba took a picture of it. So something changed. Why would the stickers change? Like, there's got to be something about that. And this feels like a new change, like something different.
胃の中で見つかった。綺麗すぎるな。
Yeah, okay, so I'm not going crazy. It wasn't twisted or broken. The sticker was almost entirely intact.
それだけじゃない。こんなのは異常だ。
Yeah, I'm sure. Suddenly, Kunosato opened the door leading to the autopsy room.
おい勝手に
You couldn't go in there without changing your clothes or disinfecting yourself. He tried to tell her that, but gave up. This chick just does what she wants, and she doesn't get punished for it, which is part of why she just gets away with it. It was more important to find out what the coroner had seen. So she followed her in, even though he knew he wasn't supposed to. The coroner said nothing. He just stood there silently, holding his tweezers. Even Kunosato was shocked by what she saw inside the body. So was Shinjo.
これは
Though normally most people are shocked by seeing inside a body, period. But granted, when you've seen what at least a detective probably has seen. Yeah, here we go. What are we gonna see? He covered his mouth with his handkerchief. It was just too bizarre. Watabe's stomach was so swollen it seemed ready to burst. And inside the stomach he could see not just dozens, but hundreds of sumo stickers. Yeah, they were like propagating. They were propagating, forcing their way. They distended his stomach and forced their way out of his mouth. It's impressive his stomach didn't rupture. Although I think I remember seeing on like a Mythbusters where they took like a stomach and they like showed just how much it could expand. It was like crazy.
まだちゃんと確認はしていないが、食道にも異常なほどの膨張が見られる。
Wow.
シールが途中で詰まっている可能性が高い。
考えられる死因は
窒息死だろうな。
Wow. That's insane. Can you imagine that you get suffocated by the eruption of stuff coming out of your esophagus that probably compressed his windpipe from the inside?
つまりこういうことか。渡部は窒息するほど何枚も何枚も何枚も。
I mean, I don't know. There's a problem with that. On one hand, that does seem like the most likely rationale, especially because up until now, it feels like the killings that we've seen, the new gen killings, have been people doing horrible things to themselves, convinced they were doing something else, right? Like the first guy cut off his arm and started eating it. The second girl, we only saw that she had a speaker in her stomach, what she was using while she played. But it also was, if I recall correctly, the autopsy said that it seemed self-inflicted. So again, like, just doing something, like maybe they get deluded into thinking they're doing something that they're not, and that's like kind of where the problem comes up. So maybe he literally stuffed all these in his mouth. It also does remind me, so like I keep getting the order of the original new gen killings wrong, but Finger Food had a similar feel to this one. This idea of like being persuaded that like that something you were doing that was like self-harm wasn't actually hurting you, was something else you were dealing with, you know, like that thing. So it feels like it's almost like they zeroed in on that specific one and are just expanding it. But then the other part of it though is the question of like, did he literally consume so many stickers that he then wandered onto stage only then to start vomiting them out, somehow keeping them down the whole time despite how insane the amount of stickers is? Or is it more realistic to think that they were being, like I said, propagated inside him? In a normal story, I'd say that's definitely not the likely one, but we're talking delusions here. We're talking flower beds materializing out of thin air. We're talking about somebody being able to be stabbed by being able to throw like 30, 40 knives with using just one knife, and then also being able to transition their body from transposition their body with another person's at the same time. We're talking about like a world where you can be beaten up by hundreds, if not thousands, of delusions of your waifu. Like what even is within the what even rules? What are the rules we have to follow? Like that's like it's tough. This is the big struggle I had with the first game, is that delusions are just so open-ended. It makes it difficult to just not go with the flow and just deus ex machina everything. Like, it's hard. It's not hard, but it's like it makes it difficult to rationale like how you do this, because it just feels like you could just shrug and just be like, I don't know, magic, and it just explains everything. And that's a little frustrating for me. I don't need a story to have an explanation for everything, but it doesn't even have a strictly like consistent internal logic. And I was wondering if that was going to feel better in this game, but so far it doesn't. It's the same problem I had with the first one. And it's not like it's bad. Like, I like that story and I love this story so far. The characters especially are fantastic. And the writing is definitely improved from the first game. But my gosh, the core mechanics, the stuff I find the most interesting, the delusions, they're just so obtuse. It makes it difficult because it's like, even more so than Higurashi, which is very like, also it's a story that's very obtuse. At least with Higurashi though, it feels like there's at least some kind of grounding of like sense and like a pattern that you can pick out that I feel like I'm getting closer to understanding. This one, I got to the end of the first game and really had no idea how any of it worked. Like, not really, not to the point where I could like come up with my own like hypothetical scenarios. And then this one, again, same thing.
歴史シールを飲み込んでいたと。
No one, not Shinjo or the coroner, said a word. By the time Kazuki and I got back from the police station, the school looked completely different. Aww. Aww. The bustling school building was now almost completely empty. All the police tape was gone except for the gym where the death had occurred. They must have finished their examination of the area. Even the music's sad. From the looks of things, I went back to the club room. I probably wouldn't find anyone there, but for now.
Huh?
Oh.
Ah, Taku, Hana-chan, おかえり。
Were you actually waiting for us?
なんだ、思ったより早かったな。
Sedaka and Nito were there.
有村は？
警察からまっすぐ帰った。もしかして僕たちを待っててくれたのか？
Aww.
誰が好き好んで野郎を待たなきゃいかんのだ。和樹のことを待ってたんだよ。
Oh, sure, sure.
うん。
Kazuki gave Nito a little bow.
花ちゃん、騙されちゃダメだよ。しんちゃんは片付けに時間がかかってるだけだから。ん？
こらこら、言うなお前は。
He's like, I've scored some good points there. Well, that's what I'd figured, but I felt a lot better. I could still see that awful corpse when I closed my eyes. Since I hadn't eaten anything since this morning, there was nothing to go up my throat except stomach acid. Honestly, that's worse. I'd rather just throw up like a normal, like normalcy, than doing like the bile lunges. That they hurt more, they burn more, they just suck. Because of that, my esophagus was starting to hurt. Just being able to talk to everyone like this made me feel a lot better.
あ、でも片付けってことはやっぱ中止なのか、学祭。
Yeah.
うん、タクが出てった後、アナウンスがあって。
そっか。もしかしたら延期って可能性もあるかと思ったんだけど。
I don't know, man. I think the problem is that they're now associating an act of crime with it. That can bring out some weirdos.
ま、しゃあねえわな。なんたって殺人だからな。
And since it might have to do with the other strange deaths, the school probably didn't have much of a choice. Also, though, had they announced this as a murder, I thought the other two they'd covered up as not being murders, or at least not told anybody that. Maybe because this one was so public, it felt more like a murder.
で、お前らの方はどうだったんだよ。犯人扱いとかされなかったか？大丈夫か？
No, I don't think so. Nah, excuse
な
me.
んで僕が疑われるんだよ。むしろ重要な目撃者だぞ。
だからじゃねえか。ミステリーで目撃者っつったら容疑者確定だろ。
I mean, that's fair. They're close enough that they might be like potential motivators. But the other thing is like, Ito, besides this like potential interview that was supposed to happen, they had no connection really. Not anything that I feel like the police would be worried about. The closest thing they'd have is what Watabe was kind of worried about, which was the fact that like they technically published a video before he published his story. But I don't think the police are going to care much about that, because that would imply that Watabe wanted to do something bad to them, not them wanting to do something bad to him. Yeah, I can see why the police probably weren't really that invested in him. The only reason why I think they would is that this is now the second time he's been tangentially involved in 2 cases. That's weird, but the justification of being like, I'm part of the newspaper club I was investigating, I could see them actually kind of understanding that. But if he ends up at a 3rd one, I think they're just going to arrest him on principle.
刑事ドラマの見過ぎだって。
Probably. But still, just like Shinjo had said earlier, it would make sense if they suspected me, I think. This was the 2nd time after the revolving dead incident that somebody died near me.
それにしてもさ、本当に今日事件が起こるなんてな。これで俺たちの推測は当たってたってことだな。
I mean, bro, you're right, but you really shouldn't sound so happy about that. That's like, I don't know. That's kind of really sucks, because that means there's more people are going to die, especially if we can't figure out why it's all happening or who's doing it.
そうだな。
I leaned my tired body back into a chair and looked at the map on the wall. Now there was even more evidence. We could be certain at this point that what happened this morning was in some way related to the new gen madness, or in other words, the new gen madness. But we still don't know who had done it or why. The sumo stickers had made me sick every time I saw them. They were the only clue we had.
しかも今回の渡部の殺人には、それが直接凶器として使われていた。
I mean, you didn't say the first thought out loud, but I'm guessing they'll pick up on it.
は？なんだって？
To be honest, I didn't really want to remember that. There was no way to know this unless you'd experienced it for yourself, but seeing something in a video and seeing it in person were 2 radically different things. I freaking bet. I mean, the few things I've seen that, like, difference-wise, like, I think one of the more shocking things I've seen, I was in a room when there was a surgery going on, and I did, like, see it with my own eyes, like an open, like, cavity, what it looks like inside of a living person who was being operated on. That was interesting, because the thing that stuck out to me the most, which is weird to say, I think I've talked about this in other videos, but it's been a while. The weirdest thing when I saw an active surgery and saw inside, like, the cavity, like the abdominal cavity of a person, was that the colors were not what I expected. They were a lot more vivid and bright. And frankly, almost like, because you get used to seeing like gore in like TV shows or anime or whatever, like it's always depicted in very similar ways, that it didn't look real, because they've like, it's always has this kind of way of being depicted in TV. And you know that's fake, obviously, but like it's still like, it's weird to think that like the real thing looked weirder and faker than what we see on TV for some reason. Like, I'm not sure how that works, but it does. The other thing that I saw was a car accident, like an actual like car accident. That one was interesting too, because I don't know. They say that you don't know what kind of a person you are in a crisis until you're like in one. And I don't know if that's truly a crisis, but I felt good because I responded very well. I remember we were walking down the road and we heard a smash and somebody got T-boned and it rolled one of the cars, right? And I remember I turned to my friend and I said, call 911, and then I ran to the car with a few other people and we helped get like the lady out, who like, we got her out of the car and helped her to the side of the road, but it looked like she had like strained or maybe broken her ankle. The other car was smashed up, but that person was able to get themselves out. They seemed all right, airbag had deployed and done their job. And I remember the scariest thing though was like, we helped the lady out. We got her to the side of the road, and one of the other guys who had helped me, like that I'd helped with getting her out, asked a question. He said is there anyone else in the car? Are there kids in the car? And when he said that, like my heart dropped, because up until then it was all just adrenaline and just like we gotta like do something. And then we got her out, and like I started to relax, and then he asked that question, and just my stomach just dropped to my shoes. But thankfully, she just shook her head and said no, she was the only one in the car. So it was pretty straightforward after that. But yeah, like seeing a car accident up close, especially like seeing it happen, being close enough to to respond. It's like it's really different. Like it's louder than you expect, but it's also a lot less crazy than you expect. It's almost straightforward. It's just like bam, smash, and then it's done. And it's just like then you're just in recovery. The biggest difference was the smell. Oh, fetch me, I bet. Even if there was no blood, like this morning, there was still a unique stench in the air. Part of it was the smell of vomit, the excrement that slid out of the body after the muscles had relaxed, but it was more than that. There was a unique stench the corpses possessed. The smell of death, you might call it. I actually think I remember reading about this. They think that, like, what it is that, like, there's just, like, certain things that happen around someone who dies, like the initial, like just releases of gases or whatnot. But we, like, part of our, like, ancient, like, ancestors, like, our evolution taught us to recognize it because of the high chance of, like, disease or danger around a corpse. So we, like, have, like, buried in our, like, senses, like, a very strong recognition of the smell of blood, the smell of death, the smell of disease, like the things that are associated with them, even if they're really subtle, which is why he's right. Like, the smell of death is the real thing. Whenever I saw a body in my mind, I also remember that scent.
警察の話だと、渡部の死因は窒息死だよな。口の中に例のシールがいっぱいだったんだろ。
Yeah.
シールを口に入れられて喉に詰まっちゃったのかな。
犯人はなんでそんなことしたんだ？つうかさ、そもそも今までの事件と犯人が同じだと思うか？
I don't know. The problem is there's too much order to it. So whatever it is definitely organized. Like we're at the level of serial killer because it's like whatever this is it's being planned. Like you can't just say that these all are random, you know. It's there's an intelligence behind it, and whatever that intelligence is, whether it's one person or a group of people, it's coordinated.
どういうこと？
だってなあ。
Ito stops and shrugged. I knew what he was trying to say. If we assumed that all the incidents were related, compared to Don't Look, Audio Bleed, and Revolving Dead, this murder seemed very different. That's true, exactly. That's what I was saying before. Like, the others seemed they were isolated. A lot of them were self-inflicted or didn't seem like they were put in any dire positions. They also didn't have a direct connection to the sumo stickers until now. Almost as if they used, like, the fact that, like, the sumo stickers are started becoming more, like, relevant in the public eye in order to, like, tie it together somehow. But why would they be motivated to do it like that? The killer had jammed sumo stickers into the victim's mouth until he choked. It was cruel, sure, but also felt sloppy, brutal, and crude. But, oh, maybe they're doing that. So, like, that could be implying that maybe the different like, attacks could be perpetrated by different people because it feels like they'd have a different theme. But again, I keep kind of circling back to this idea that, like, self-inflicted, like, injuries that they are deluded into thinking are different seems to me to be the mechanism being used.
僕だって最初はそう考えたよ。警察から話を聞くまではね。でも。
When I was leaving the station, I heard the cops talking about the results of the autopsy. They said Watabe's stomach was filled to the brim with sumo stickers. So this case was every bit as weird as the other three. I tried to get out of the chair, but I was still a little tired, so I staggered a bit. Bro, you need to eat something.
すべての事件の特徴を順を追って見てみると、今回の事件も明らかに同一の事件に属するものじゃないかと思えるんだ。
Yeah, I agree. I think there's too many similarities. Like the actual execution of them are very different, but, like, the modes seem to be very similar. And we also know about the whole, like, the knock pattern and the we know that there's, like, a person, or at least see for the first one it seemed like a group. We haven't confirmed that with all the others yet, but, like, it seems like there's a group of people involved in this. Also, oh shoot, I was gonna say something, I can't remember what it was now. Oh yeah. Bro here has been like, he didn't get any sleep last night. He didn't eat hardly anything. Come on, dude. I know you probably aren't hungry, but good grief, dude, you gotta get something in you.
これまでの事件と共通点があるってこと？
それを聞いてほしい。順を追って話す。
Okay. This looks like it's going to be the bulk of the rest of this episode is this review. That's right. When I was about to explain, included a critical factor that we'd never even considered before. It was what I wanted to talk to Seneca about before I left the police station. What was that? I can't remember what we said before we left for the police station. It was something we didn't want to say in front of the others for some reason. I'm sorry. I think if I were a little sharper, a little more on my feet, if I weren't so tired, I'd probably be a bit better at this.
さっきの話の続きだけどな。聞かせてくれないか。
さっきの話？
Yeah, about what?
言ってたろ。新庄さんと黒里さんの話。能力者とか不可思議なこととか。
ああ、なんだっけ。そうそう、なんかね、変なんだって、これまでの事件が。
Yeah.
そりゃ変だろ。だからこそ僕たちだって追っかけてるわけだし。
ああ、そういう意味じゃなくてね、死んだ被害者の人たちが。最初の犠牲者、こっちみんなの人のニア生のタイトル知ってるよね。
Yeah, the stream name was like, I have a power, or like I have this power to see the future.
俺し未来が見えてしまう剣だろ。
Yeah, so maybe they're cluing in on the powers that these people had like uncanny abilities to be things, right? The first guy had the ability to basically glimpse the future, predict it. The second was the audio bleed, was the girl who, like, anyone who listened to her music was like basically hypnotized by it, like beyond like a level of a reasonable level. And then I don't know about the tied up guy. We know he was involved with the company that does like the home link or the surveillance group that we're like that we find super sketchy. I don't know if he had a power though.
本当にね、その未来を予知できたのかもって。
は？
That's crazy. Was this some kind of joke?
で、次の音漏れたんなんだけど、ライブに来てた人が変だったんだって。
変ってどういう意味だ？
Like obsessed. They were obsessed, like almost like cult-like.
なんか熱に浮かされてたみたいな感じ？歌自体は大したことないんだけど、歌声に取りつかれたみたいな。
Now it's interesting too because in the first series, like the Nozomi group would see or find like powered gigalomaniac people and they would study them to get an imprint of their minds, right? But this group seems to be trying to kill them. So maybe I've been going about this all wrong. What if this group is not as associated with like ex Nozomi as I expected? I thought it was like a repeat of the same thing. What if these are people who figured out what Nozomi was up to and and how like they were responsible for the earthquake and everything? And what if they're trying to prevent gigalomaniacs from ever rising? What if they're targeting them? But they seem to have their own power over delusions. So maybe it's a core of like gigalomaniac vigilantes who are going after any potentials who are rising and eliminating them before they can, start manifesting themselves. Huh.
なんだよそれ。よくわかんないな。
そんなこと言われても、そう言ってたんだもん。
まあいい。で、次の回転デッドは？
バイトなのに業績がすごく良かったって。
Okay. So he was very persuasive. That was his thing.
それは単に有能だっただけじゃないのか？
Like ridiculously. Like he's probably selling as much as like a full timer. The other thing that's odd too is like if you think about it too, like what if this is also about collecting? Because like Nozomi's thing was also be able to like to get grafts of the minds of gigalomaniacs in order to help teach the Noah 2 how to do what it did. What if these are people who are finding gigalomaniacs and stealing their powers and then killing them? It's kind of making me think of the first season of Heroes. Like, that was the whole idea about, like, what was his name? Siler or Splicer or something. But it was his ability. His ability was he learned how things worked. And he realized that with people who had superpowers, it was a part of their brain that was just operating a little differently, that mutated or whatever, that gave him powers. So he would find people who had powers, he would extract their brain and examine it, and then he could mimic it in his own. So he was collecting superpowers. Wonder if this is something similar to that. What if they are taking the powers of these gigalomaniacs and then, processing them somehow?
そうなんだけどね。なんかこう、相手の望んでることがわかるっていうか、もしかしたら盗聴でもしてるんじゃないかって陰で言われてたみたい。私が聞いたのはこれで全部だけど。
Yeah, so it seems like everyone involved has some level of like a precognition or some kind of effect on people's minds. So the first is seeing the future. Second was like hypnotizing people with their voice. The third was being able to understand exactly what people wanted to buy so he could sell it to them perfectly. And the Watabe knew where to get the best scoops and how to get them.
いや、上出来だ。よくそこまで聞き取ってくれたな。
もしかして役に立つ？
Of course it was. You're awesome.
ああ。
Shinjo and Kunosato-san were talking very softly, so I hadn't been able to hear them at all. It was definitely thanks to Sadaka that we had this information. But still.
能力？そんなまさか。
おーい、宮代くん、まだなのか？
And that's that creepy teacher.
あ、すみません。すぐ行きます。
After what I'd heard from talking to Sadaka, it was unbelievable if I looked at the cases so far in light of that.
すべてを確かめるためにもう一度事件を整理してみるから見ててくれ。
Alright, let's do this. I turned to face the board on the wall. When I did so, I could feel strength coming from back to my tired body and mind. Good. I was fine. What happened this morning hadn't made me afraid. Everyone looked at the Shibuya map, even Kazuki.
なんだ？円数2をプレイするんじゃないのか？
Alright, she's invested now. For some reason, Kazuki always participated when we used this. Well, whatever. I should start with the first case. The key points to focus on were what I'd heard from Sadaka before going to the police station and what I knew about the victims. Together, they implied that...
そうか。やっぱりそういうことなのか。
No way. That can't be right.
けど、そう考えれば全ての辻褄が合う。
Actually, there were a lot of things that could only be explained that way. My mind was racing, and it soon felt a curiosity welling within me that overrode the terror and disgust I'd felt when I was at the scene of the murders.
やっぱりそうだ。信じられないけれど、あり得る。
It was probably a stupid idea. If it were true, it would be incredible. It would change everything we thought we knew about the world.
なんだよ。気持ち悪いな。急に変な笑い声出すなよ。
Is she like reading our mind?
だってね、なんかいつものタクに戻ったなって。
Oh.
あ、
Now that I think about it, I'd gotten so excited I'd forgotten about the nightmares that were going on around me. I should get back on topic.
僕は気づいたんだ。直接犯人には繋がらないかもしれないけど、事件の全容を知る上で、いや、ひょっとしたら世界の常識を覆すような大きな共通点に。
Everyone's like, holy crap. Look at that, we have our motley crew of Scoobies. I can see Kazuki gasp in surprise.
マジかよ。
す
Everyone was looking at me as I explained everything piece by piece.
まず今回の渡部氏殺害事件がニュージェネの狂気の再来と呼ばれる一連の事件の延長線上にあるという話。
Right. The new gen madness. I still like my name better.
でもよ、さっきも言ったけど、ただの窒息死なんだろ？
いや違う。渡部の死因は確かに窒息死だけど、単に口の中いっぱいに力士シールを詰め込まれて死んだわけじゃない。
どういうことだ？
I stopped for a moment and took a deep breath. I knew that what I imagined it was going to shiver again.
彼は力士シールを胃の中までいっぱいに詰め込まれて死んだらしい。
Everyone's eyes went wide. I could tell they were all trying to figure out the meaning of what I just said.
胃の中まで？それって。
そう。力士シールを無理やり、それも噛み砕くことなく原型を残したまま大量に飲み込んで、あるいは飲まされて。
That's what a way to go.
それが原因で窒息して死んだ。そういうことになる。
そいつはまた。
Yeah.
雑どころじゃないんだ。むしろあまりにも変質的なんだよ。
Yeah. That's a great way to say that. It's not sloppy, it's insane.
だったら確かに今回の事件も一連の事件と同じ流れの中にあるってことになるわけか。
I nodded, then wrote down a brief overview of Watabe's death and pinned it to the map. And vampire, yeah. So finger food was the 20th.
だがな、宮代。それがさっき言ってた世界の常識を覆すほどの共通点なのか？
When you take it in context, yeah. Okay. So, audio bleed is tied to the man-child. That was the second one. We had don't look, which is tied to the group dive. That was the first one. So yeah, I think finger food is now the next one. So we have green for a positive link between like a modern case and its a historical case. Red for the location of the historical cases. Blue for the location of the current cases. And it looks like we have yellow for like a thing of note. Something that seems kind of linked to like the location, a location and event that seems not directly linked to one of the murders, but like it still feels like it's part of whatever's happening. Okay, gotcha.
いや、今のはただ渡部氏殺害事件が連続殺人事件の一環であるということを確認しただけで、もちろん本題はこの先にある。
I stopped talking for a second and looked around at everyone's faces.
まず、こっちみんなと呼ばれている第一の事件の被害者、大谷優馬。彼は未来がわかると言っていた。
んなの、ただの煽り文句だろ。
Yeah, isolation, but...
いいから最後まで聞けって。
Ito shrugged and stopped talking.
第二の事件、音漏れた被害者、高柳百音の歌声には妙な魅力があったってファンは口を揃えて証言してる。聞いているだけでトランス状態になれるって。
うんうん、あの刑事さんそんなようなことを言ってた。
クラブとかで踊ってる連中と同じだろ。音楽や歌が聴いてる人間をトランス状態にするのはよくあることだ。
Again, the thing here is isolation versus in concert.
人をそういう状態にするにはそれなりの条件が必要だろ。クラブなんかはそういう効果をもたらすために作られた閉鎖空間だ。
Yeah.
でも高柳百音がストリートライブをしていた場所は違う。何の設備もない路上だ。
まあいいや、続けてくれ。
Alright.
そして第3の事件、回転デッドの被害者、柿田博則。彼はまるで 顧客の心が読めているみたいだったそうだ。
おい、まさか。
Yeah, unfortunately. Remember I talked about how, like, the rules are tough to track? Ito seemed to realize what I was trying to say. That's my partner for you. He's got good intuition.
渡部のあの写真、力士シールの表情が違うってことは言ったよな。
I had already told everyone the expression on the Sumo sticker I had photographed at the Love Hotel and the one in Watabe article were different.
最初あれはコラージュか何かだと思った。実際渡部にはそういう噂があったからな。でもどうやら違うらしいんだ。刑事に確認してみたんだよ。そしたら渡部の撮った写真には改ざんされた形跡はなかったらしい。
Okay, what about the sticker? Could we go back and look at that original sticker that we took a picture of and see if it's different?
となると考えられる可能性は。
There was a chance that many of Watabe's too good to be true photographs weren't taken with a camera. Oh, okay. He probably used some form of psychic photography. I wrote everything that occurred to me down in a memo and pinned it to the map. Watabe's image wasn't real, taken with psychic photography. Maybe he can produce his Yeah, it's funny, but like what if he could take like an image of something he sees and can get it printed or recreate it perfectly. They told laughed as I put it up.
いやいや待てって。いくらなんでもそりゃないだろ。
しんちゃん、今ので分かったの？
Wow, she sounds very interested. Kazuki seemed irritated that Ito had figured out the answer before her. She started to bang on the wall like she always did.
で、おい、こらやめとけ。
So she sounds angry.
要するに宮代はこう言いたいんだ。今回の事件の被害者に共通するのは全員不可解とも思える現象を引き起こしていたという点だ。それが意味するのは
Yeah, it means that they used tricks to control his mind, had special powers, or were aliens from outer space. Well, had special powers.
そう。彼らはみんな。
彼らは特殊な能力を持っていた。そうだな。
I mean, it's like, again, it's one of those things where like once is an anomaly, twice is twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern, 4 times seals the deal.
特殊ってつまり？
Basically, we're in the realm of fiction, but it's not fiction anymore. Well, it is fiction, but for them it's not fiction.
尾上が新庄さんから聞いた言葉で言うなら能力者、つまり超能力者ってことだよ。
Interesting. It's interesting that they're not using gigalomaniac in this one, but it's very clearly supposed to be something very similar, right?
超能力？
You heard it.
超能力ってミステリー小説だったら奮発物どころか読者が怒っちまうぜ。
残念ながらこれは小説じゃない。事実だ。
だったらなおさらだよ。なあみんな。
Ito looked around at the others, expecting them to agree. But while Kazuki had a look of surprise for a moment, she'd quickly returned to her usual inscrutable expression, and Sedaka was excited about something completely different.
超能力ってあれでしょ？こう透明になって女子更衣室に忍び込んだりするやつ。
Alright, sure. No! Where did that come from?
まあ、
Wait.
そういうのもあるかもしれないけど、普通はテレパシーとか。
And also, Sedaka, is that what you would do if you could turn invisible? You could go in there anyway.
あ、テレパシーいいな。携帯電話とかいらないから料金かからないし。
Okay. To be fair, that was one of the cooler powers in the first book. I did enjoy, well, the first visual novel, I mean. with Kazupi being able to have like the mental conversation. I thought that was really fun. Forget it. I should just give up on trying to talk to her about anything complicated.
でもさ、超能力なんて言い始めたら何でもありだろう。それこそ誰かが遠くから超能力を使って殺人を犯したとか。
Yeah, exactly. Once you breach this level of like, all right, we're going to accept that these powers are real. It's that same problem I was having with before with even just a story in general. It's like, at that point, you don't know the rules you're playing by anymore. There's not going to be a simple logic. There's not even going to be evidence or telltale signs that are going to be traceable in a meaningful way. It really puts this whole situation into the realm of just guesswork and luck rather than skill.
いや、超能力って言っても多分そこまで便利なものじゃないんじゃないかな。せいぜい一つの能力しか使えないとか、それに忘れてもらっちゃ困るけど、超能力者なのは犯人ではなく被害者だってことだ。
Although we have good reason to believe from the glimpses we've seen that the killer does have some kind of ability. It does almost feel like theirs is more arbitrary, like it's just the delusional thing, like controlling what people's senses tell them.
でも、被害者が超能力者ってことは、犯人もそうだってことも考えられるだろ
う。まあな。
That was certainly possible. Or, no, it might actually be very likely.
ああ、そういえばさ。
Seneca cut the two of us off. Her voice was easygoing and unconcerned.
前にアットチャンネルか何かでそういう都市伝説があるってタク言ってなかった？確か渋谷で生活してると不思議な力が身につくとか。
あ、
That's right. How could I have forgotten something so important?
ああ、それなら俺も知ってるけどさ。でもあれって地震で死んだ人の霊が取り付くとかなんとか言われてる話だろ？
It also might be more though, like that could be like leftovers of people who might have seen the weirdness that Taku and all of his gigalomaniac friends were up to during the craziness.
いくらなんでもそれはな。
Brother, all of this is, we're looking logic in the back mirror right now. Like we've left logic behind. As soon as we started being serious, and I'm part of it now, I'm also taking it seriously, but as soon as we went, hey, psychics might be real, logic has kind of evicted the building. Now, granted, we can try and stay grounded while we do it, but it's like, there's only so much we can do.
例の話は後付けで、現象だけは実際のものだとしたら。
んなこと言ってもさ。
火のないところに煙は立たないって言うよ。
火の気のないところに火をつけて回るのがアットチャンネルだろうが。
That's also true.
それはそうだけど。
でも尾上は聞いたんだよな。能力者がどうとか言うの。
そうだよ。警察の人が言ってたもん。
だからってよ。
Ito didn't seem willing to accept it. Well, I could understand that. Even I thought it was a little crazy. But for some reason, it felt to me like this is the explanation closest to the truth.
伊藤の言いたいこともわかる。でも仮説の一つとして考えておいてもいいとは思わないか？
Sure.
それはまあ。
I mean, again, it kind of puts us in this weird era where, like, as soon as we accept that truth, it's like, where does it stop? We could spin around in circles for decades just contemplating what ifs now because we've abandoned the standard logic that helps you solve crimes in general. Granted, great precedence for it, but it puts us in this no man's land where, like, we can't trust anything. He fell silent. Normally, Kazuki would have gotten bored with all this talking and gone back to her computer, but today she wasn't moving. She wasn't participating in a conversation for once, but for once she seemed interested.
まあ、100歩譲って宮代の仮説が正しいとしようじゃないか。じゃあ、もう一つの共通点との関係は？
もう一つの共通点って？
It's really my cat sitting behind me.
力士シールだろ。
Right, the sumo stickers. What do they have to do with it? Are they out there? Maybe the sumo stickers are like cameras. Like we've like the what we saw, it made it look like a camera, and we even have like what looked like a picture that was taken from a sumo sticker. Maybe it's like a metaphysical version of the surveillance cameras where they're looking and trying to find these gigalomaniac people.
あ、そっか。
The sumo stickers were involved in the case too. No, you could say that this time they were actually the murder weapon.
そもそもなんで全ての現場に力士シールがあるんだろうな。
普通に考えたら殺された人が残すんだよね。ダイビングメッセージだっけ？
Yeah, or like, you know, like a calling card. In this case, I think it's a preemptive card. I think it's like the setup for maybe how they do this remote attacking. Is like they need to be able to witness what's going on in the room.
ダイイングな。
Dying message. I don't know if that's right, but okay. A message left by someone on the verge of death. They're often utilized in mysteries, where they are left behind by the murder victim as a clue to find the killer. There have been several cases where dying messages were left behind by real murder victims. I mean, if you know you're heading out, you want to try and catch them, like the best thing you could do is try and find a way to send a message.
でも今回の場合は凶器そのものが力士シールなんだからそれは当てはまらない。
Yeah.
となると犯人が置いてったってことだよな。自分がやったってことを分からせるためか、あるいは
I think they were trying to watch it or maybe commit it, or they also could be a force of good somehow, just being caught up with it because they're trying to stop it.
誰かに何らかのメッセージを送るためか。
Which means the card would have some kind of meaning to all that all the victims understood. But the only thing they had in common was that they know about now is that they had special powers.
あ、電話だ。
Oh, great. Is it going to be our old phone calling us again? Sedeka took her phone out of her pocket and looked at the screen, then frowned and looked at me. Of course it is.
のんちゃんから。
Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah, I'm sure she's
とい
upset.
うことで吉祥寺で今行列ができているラーメン店3つご紹介しました。どうですか？気になるお店ありましたか
2つ目のつけ麺のお店が気になりますね。魚介スープではなく味噌ラーメン風のスープというのが新しいなと思いまして。
Okay, okay.
そうですね。味噌といってもつけ麺用にアレンジされていて結構さっぱりしているんですよね。
今テロップが出ていますね。速報です。今日お昼頃フリージャーナリストの渡部智明さん22歳が
Yeah. 22. He's freaking 22. Holy crap, he was a freaking baby. Well, not baby, but like just at the start of his freaking life. There was a large sign at the top of the screen which read, "Freelance journalist Watabe Tomoaki-san dies violently during speech."
渋谷署では事件事故の両方の可能性があるとして渡部さんの死因や病気の有無など詳しく調べています。渡部さんはつい先日渋谷で大量に貼られている力士シールと連続自殺事件に関連性があるという内容のスクープ記事を書き注目されていました。
Interesting. Now it's getting public. I wonder what that's going to do. Oh, this is like a chat room? Yeah, Watabe's dead? What, you mean the Watabe? Wow, that's a shock. This is weird. Yeah? It's like Club Penguin. Watabe, I'm going to cry. You knew him, and like, it looked like it's pointing to this person. No, but I thought he was great. Just a fan, huh? Lol. He seemed really smart. You know, when you look at him, he isn't all that hot. So it was his face in the end? Lol. Why'd he die anyway? I don't know, but that's what they were saying on Rhine. Where was he seen on TV yesterday? Wasn't he on TV yesterday? He was writing an article about how the sumo stickers in Shibuya are bad news. What? How? He was the one putting them up? Lol, 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 lol. No, lol, lol, lol. He didn't put them up. The sumo stickers have something to do with the case. This girl hasn't said anything, the one on the far right. The new generation madness, you know? Was Watabe killed? by the people putting up the sumo stickers? Scary crap, lol. Those eyes are God's eyes? Oh my gosh! No! Why are you saying that? Those eyes are God's eyes? Instead of whose eyes are those eyes, is those eyes are God's eyes. Oh no, that's the new twisted version. Those eyes are God's eyes. According to announcement Shibuya, okay, we're gonna do this. So what about Tomoaki dead? Lol. Of course, lols. Stupid. But holy crap. Those eyes are God's eyes. Instead of whose eyes are those eyes, it's those eyes are God's eyes. That's terrifying. Because that implies that somebody's in control. According to the announcement by the Shibuya Metropolitan Police, in the afternoon of the 10th at around 1 p.m., Watabe Tomoaki was found dead. The Shibuya police are investigating both the possibility of an accident as well as potential murder or suicide, and are looking for the cause of Watabe-san's death and illness that may and any illness that he may have had. All right, so first, oh my gosh, first post, rest in peace. Skipping to ASC2 art. Rest in peace, lols. The Shanderfuden is giving me a boner. Why? These people are just degenerates. He had a dance with hard luck, huh? Rest in peace. That's what you get. Holy crap. Who? Rip in peace, lol. Whose eyes are those eyes? There it is! Rest in peace, lol. Did he learn too much? The darkness of the sumo stickers runs deep. Wait. This is seriously scary. How come you guys are laughing? Somebody has to kill it. Somebody has to kill him. Has to have killed him, right? Holy crap! Today's a fetching 10. The fetching 10. New generation madness. So it's begun. Rest in peace. The sumo stickers are God. No objections allowed. Glad that a-hole's dead. Which one of you guys did this? That's what you get. Huh? That date seemed to match again. Those eyes are God. Those eyes are God's eyes. There it is again. Like so, 14. Yeah, look at that. So 14. Whose eyes are those eyes? And then they responded to that person by saying, those eyes are God's eyes? Why do you guys hate him so much? He's just some loser plagiarist. Rest in peace. So, who's this guy again? Don't put out a breaking news update just because the dummy died. I was recording Fetching Conan. Worship the sumo stickers. Die. That proves it. The next one will be on October 23rd. I thought October 20th was the finger food one. The sumo stickers are God. No objections allowed. Repent of your sins. There will be more victims. Okay, and this is seeming more of like the whole holy church angle. Oh, maybe they're the ones that like the angle. That's the angle that we're coming at. The first was Nozomi, was just very angled in a corporate direction. Maybe we're seeing the church that was like affiliated with Nozomi, kind of like repurposing that technology, and now they're becoming like God's righteous instrument against the people. You're kidding me, lol. The guy reports on all this stuff and ends up killing him himself. The sumo stickers are God. The sumo stickers are God. The sumo stickers are God. It's to return of the new generation madness, and I can't bear it. Oh, bear. Return of the nude generation madness 1. Don't look. Return of the new generation madness 2. Audio bleed. Is this like freaking Grim again? It's very similar. New generation madness 3. Revolving dead. New generation madness 4. Under debate. To be continued. 41, you're late. 42. 41, that's what I'm here to see. The sumo stickers are God. Yeah. They just they won't shut up about that. Is it the same person? VBVEFO. Yeah, they're just spamming. Alright. End up just like Watabe-san, huh? The sumo stickers will save the world. Wait, that's the same person that was spamming the sumo stickers are God. Yeah, this PAY VBVE. Like, this person's spamming like crazy. Troll somewhere else. Maybe Watabe killed himself to prove his article is right, so that if so, then he's got my respect. Miraculous Carnival is about to begin. Sumo stickers are God again, the spammer. What is happening in Shibuya? Spammer again. Sumo stickers are God, going crazy. Rest in peace. Yeah, so whoever this person is, they're going mad. And we've got the... Wait, so who said, those eyes are God's eyes? Okay, that's the spammer guy who said those eyes are God's eyes. And then 14, someone different. Whose eyes are those eyes? That's just someone who remembered. So, yeah, whoever the spammer is also is the one that stated, and probably was the one in the other chat room who said the, like, those eyes are God's eyes. Interesting. We're just starting right off the bat, huh? Well, we're back at the Adobe Clinic. I'll have to think about this one. I'm going to lean towards the positive ones because I've definitely been enjoying those the most, but I could also see this being a good time to explore the dark one. So we're going to go ahead and end things here. Thank you so much for waiting for me, and hopefully this comes out at a reasonable time. That was interesting. It's a good review of stuff. It's kind of giving me something to sink my teeth into so far, which is not terrible, but I still say the big problem here is the big overarching just Deus Ex Machina gap in the whole plot here. It's just, it still feels like at this point the writers could just do what they want, and I have to accept it because psychics are real. There's no like known limitation or like no reasonable like power scaling I can really relate to in this, and so it's just basically like whatever goes. It'll still probably be a good story. Like I enjoyed the first one. I'm enjoying this one a lot, so I'm sure it'll be fine. But it is a problem, at least problem for me. Anyway, enough of that. Hope you have a good rest of your Friday, and then if this comes out on Friday, it should. And then have a good start to your weekend. I'm gonna try and enjoy mine, although it's gonna be a bit busy because I gotta play catch up. But it is what it is. I also gotta get ready. I got some stuff coming up in the future. It's gonna keep me even more busy than usual. So expect a couple delays in a series, and like I'm gonna take probably a week off for a business trip I'm going on, so that'll be fun. Anyway, I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to reading your comments on this one. Again, obviously no spoilers, of course, but I do want to, I'm curious to see what your reactions are to some of my ranting in this one, because I imagine that like there's probably points that I'm making that are on track, but they're probably mired amongst a bunch of like faff that means nothing. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I look forward to talking to you and seeing what you think of it. So until the next video, watching me out, see me in next. I'll see you there.